Hey, it's Dave from CG Shortcuts. Today, we're going to do this. We're looking at the free Divider Cinema 4D fragmentation plugin. This video was brought to you by Yellow Images, the marketplace for packaging, apparel, and ready-to-go templates and mockups. With an exclusive collection of more than 39,000 product mockups, you can find the perfect fit for almost any project. Their huge online library includes unique rendered fonts, 360-degree PNG images, Photoshop templates, picture sets, brushes, and loads more. All of their time-saving mockups and ultra-realistic 3D rendered templates are professionally designed and guaranteed to enhance your projects and impress your clients. For a limited time, the guys over at Yellow Images have been great enough to offer CG Shortcuts viewers a huge 30% off discount at their online store. Just use the coupon code CG Shortcuts at the link below. Save time and get yourself some great looking graphics with Yellow Images. Now let's get back to the tutorial. So this tutorial was actually requested way back by Mo Biggie, who wanted to know how to create this effect from an ad for Koppel Department Store by Plenty Studios. Lucky for us, Alexi Karpik has created an awesome free plugin that makes this kind of setup super easy. And there's a link below to where you can download his Divider or Cinema 4D fragmentation plugin. And you can also check out some of his epic work. So install that plugin and I'll see you over in Cinema 4D. Okay, so to start with, we're going to change the project settings to 24 frames per second. And you can find this menu by hitting Ctrl D on the keyboard. And then we'll be applying our divider effect to a plane. So let's come up here and bring one of those in. And we want to be able to see the polygons on this, so we'll come up here and turn on the lines. And now we can see the subdivisions in there. And by default, we've got 20 by 20, which will give us 400 polygon faces all up. And you'll see why this is important a little bit later, but let's leave that for now, and we might just make our plane a little bit larger as well. Let's bring these up to 800 centimeters. Okay, so now that we're all set up, let's make sure we've got our plane selected, and we'll head up here to our plugins. And if you've installed it correctly, the Divider plugin should look just like this. And to apply this to our plane, we'll hold Alt when we click on this, so it should apply itself as a parent. But when we do that, we get a bit of an error message here, and it's just telling us that the effect will only work on geometry with less than 50 polygons. But if you remember from before, we've currently got 400 polygons on our plane. So let's head back here and we'll bring our segments down. Let's try 5 by 5, which now gives us 25 polygons all up, which is well below our 50 polygon limit. And if that has no effect, I found that just taking this out and putting it back in should force it to refresh. And now we're starting to get this cool effect. And this kind of look is also known as recursive subdivision if you want to do a bit more research into the subject. So let's go and check this guy out and see what other settings we can play with. As you can see, there's loads of different options in here, but the first thing we want to do is decrease the amount of divisions we have in here. And we can do that right here in the iterations. So let's try bringing that down to 1. Okay, and I think that's looking a bit more manageable. Next up, we've got the slider X and slider Y controls, which basically just let us offset these subdivisions. So you can really get a load of control over exactly how your polygons are distributed, but we'll just undo that. I think the default settings are fine for now. And now let's see if we can figure out how to animate this. If we try hitting play, we're not getting any animation just yet. So let's see what else we need to tweak over here to get that going. If we look right down the bottom, we've got a bunch of noise controls. And if you've ever watched our other looping animation tutorials, you'll know that we use looping noise a lot of the time to get our animations. And that's exactly the same deal here. So to animate this, we need to look at the noise loop progress here. And you'll notice if we change this, we start to get a bit of motion in there. And you'll also notice if we bring this way down to 0, our polygons take this position. And then if we take this all the way up to 100, our polygons are actually in the exact same position, effectively giving us our loop. So all we need to do is animate this from 0 to 100 along our timeline to get our looping animation. So let's take this back to 0 and make sure we're on frame 0. Then we can add a keyframe here. Now we can go ahead to the last frame of our animation, frame 72, which at 24 frames per second will make our loop exactly 3 seconds long. And we'll take this up to 100 and set another keyframe. And now if we play that back, we get our looping animation. But we're also getting some speeding up and slowing down in there because our keyframing has easing applied to it by default. So we'll stop that and head back to our noise loop. And if we right click on here and go to animation, we can open up our F curves. And you can see that curved easing on those keyframes. So let's make this a linear transition. If we select both of the keyframes, we can make them linear by just clicking on this button. Okay, let's close that. And we'll take another look at the animation. And now we've got a nice constant speed of animation with a nice seamless loop. Okay, so let's head back to the divider and make some final tweaks. We can start down here with the noise amount, and you can try less or more noise if you like, but I found bringing this up to 1 gives us a pretty cool effect. Then we've got the noise frequency, which determines the speed of the noise. So if we bring this up and play that back, just as you'd expect, everything's happening a lot faster. And I actually found the default speed of 3 to be pretty good, so let's just undo that. And I think I'm happy with that animation for now. So next we want to separate and extrude all of these polygons and place some objects into the center of each one. So let's grab our divider and we'll head over to the deformers menu, and we want to bring in a bevel deformer. But we want to apply this as a parent of our divider. So we'll hold Alt when we click on that. And just as the name implies, the bevel deformer bevels the edges of our geometry. And in this case, it's actually offsetting the edges of each polygon on our plane. And if you wanted to, you could even make the gap between each poly bigger by adjusting the offset here. But let's just leave that at 1 centimeter for now, and we're actually going to add another one of these guys into the mix. So with this one selected, we'll come back up here and do the same thing again, and just bring in another one of those. And if we zoom in, we can see that 1 centimeter offset I mentioned before. So now this second bevel is beveling those offset pieces. And so we can see that a bit clearer. Let's just zoom back out, and we'll give this a bit of thickness. And we can do that over here under the simulate menu, and we'll go cloth and bring in a cloth surface. And if you're using the latest version of Cinema 4D version 21, this can now be found under the create menu. So again, we want to apply this as a parent, so we'll hold Alt when we bring that in. And with that, we can add some thickness with the thickness setting here. Let's just go with a value of 15 centimeters. And it looks like it's also added some extra subdivisions in here, so we can get rid of those by bringing this guy down to 0. And now if we zoom in, we can start to see the effect of that second bevel deformer. And if we grab that guy, we can adjust the amount of beveling with the offset. And I might just bring that down a tad to 0.5. And it's always a good idea to add a bit of beveling to your edges for extra realism. And we could also add a subdivision to that. Okay, so now we're ready to clone some objects onto this. So we'll head over here and we're going to merge in some models we've created earlier. Just like we saw in the example, we're going to use a laptop and a phone, but you can use any objects you like. Then we can go and hide this stuff for a second so we can take a look at our inputted objects. There's our laptop, and here's our phone. And we can probably turn those lines off now so we can see this a bit clearer. So let's clone these guys onto our animated blocks. We'll switch this back on again. Then we'll head over to our MoGraph menu and bring in our old friend, the cloner. Then we can just put both of our models into that cloner, and we won't need this null anymore. Now over in our cloner, we'll start by changing the mode to object. And we want to treat all of our clones as instances, so we're using less memory and we can work a bit faster. And now we need to tell it which object to use to clone our laptop and phone to. And that's going to be our divider. So we'll drag that guy in here. And we're definitely getting close, although all of our objects are being cloned to the vertices in the corners of our boxes. But we want them right in the middle of each polygon. So we just need to change the distribution from vertex to polygon center. And now we're almost there. One final tweak, we just need to correct the orientation of these clones. So we'll scooch over to the transform tab of our cloner and we'll try rotating the heading and the pitch. Then we just need to offset their position, and I think that's going to be in the Z direction. Yep, that looks right. So if we make that exactly 15 centimeters, it should be nice and flush with our boxes. Because if you remember from before, we made those 15 centimeters thick. Okay, and that's just about it. But there's one last little trick we can do. You'll notice all of these clones are the exact same size, but we actually want them to shrink and grow along with the scale of our boxes. And that's actually super easy to do, although it did take us a little while to figure it out. All we need to do is head over to the Object tab, and tucked away right down here is a little option to enable scaling of our clones. And if we turn that on, the scale of our clones will now be influenced by the scale of the polygon they're cloned to. So now, if we play that back, we have our final effect. And that brings us to the end of this tutorial. If you make something cool with this plugin, don't forget to post it to our Facebook group. And as usual, there's a link below to where you can download this project to save a bit of time. And if you'd like to get your hands on the final render-ready Octane project file, you can grab that from our Patreon page. Big shout out to all of this month's patrons, you guys are amazing. And we couldn't keep cranking out the videos without your support. Okay, that's it for now. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you want to see in the comment section down below, or you can leave a like or dislike. And don't forget to subscribe and click on that little bell icon for more videos and free stuff. There's loads of extra resources on our website, and you can win epic CG prizes in our monthly challenges. Check out cgshortcuts.com for more details. Catch you next time.